Supreme Court has postponed a decision on Sanjay Dutt's plea for an additional 6 months to surrender. So Supreme Court not taking a decision today. The actor who had been asked by the court to surrender by 18th April, that's just round the corner, wants more time to complete his film projects. The news that's emerging from the Supreme Court is that there will be no decision today on Sanjay Dutt's plea. Let's get more from Ashok Bagri. Ashok, what do you have?
Parul, what has happened is that the matter has been listed for hearing tomorrow. In fact, today this particular case was listed before a bench of Justice Satasivam and who was in combination with Justice Iqbal. Actually, the order in the Bombay blast case was delivered by a combination of Justice Satasivam and Justice Chauhan. Just considering the fact that the combination was not available today, the judges have listed the matter as the first item tomorrow. The matter will be taken up. Sanjay Dutt's application will be taken up for hearing tomorrow at 10:30 by a combination of judges of Justice Satasivam and Justice B.S. Chauhan. So, considering that today it has not been taken up tomorrow, we have to, if Sanjay Dutt does not have to surrender, there has to be some kind of adjudication which has to come from the Supreme Court. Otherwise, 18th is the last date when Sanjay Dutt has to surrender. Otherwise, if an order doesn't come tomorrow, his application would become infructuous.
If the order doesn't come tomorrow, so it's really cutting close to the bone as far as Sanjay Dutt is concerned. He's going to have to wait, maybe nervously, for the next few hours. Less than 24 hours to go before the Supreme Court decides on his plea. What was his plea before the Supreme Court? On what grounds did he want an extra 6 months?
Well, Parul, as far as Sanjay Dutt is concerned, he's saying that he has some prior work commitments which have to be completed before he surrenders. So he's asking for a concession from the Supreme Court, saying that he has 7 films to complete with over 278 crores riding on these movies. He wants to finish his work before he surrenders. So he's asking for a concession from the Supreme Court that please give me a concession so that I can finish these 7 films which are pending. And he's also given a timeline as to it will take him exactly 180 days to complete these movies. So his surrender should be, his date of surrendering should be relaxed by 6 months.
And 18th April is a deadline that's been set by the court. Also with us, our National Affairs Bureau Chief Bhupendra Chaubey. Bhupen, what do you make of this decision out of the Supreme Court?
Well, the Supreme Court obviously is going to look at the petition which is being moved by Sanjay Dutt, but the timeline becomes very, very significant. Now, I have been in touch with people close to Sanjay Dutt and I've been in touch with the family members who've been advising Sanjay Dutt on this entire matter. And what we're learning is that Sanjay himself was initially of the view that he would first go inside jail and then try and work out towards some kind of a compromise solution for himself, or look for a solution where he could have been allowed to come out of jail to complete his movie projects, or even look for some kind of a pardon after he had gone inside jail. Now, of course, that scenario has changed. What Sanjay Dutt is now asking for is that because in light of this huge money which is riding on some 6 films which he's still working on and which are at different stages of production, he is asking for leniency. Now, senior lawyers whom I have been speaking to suggest that there is no such precedent where the courts, having pronounced someone guilty and having announced the quantum of punishment, allow the individual to have a 6-month leeway period. In fact, the other individual who was also asking for leniency and who was also asking for a suspension of that sentence was the other person who was also convicted in the Mumbai bomb blast case, Zaibunisa, and she has also not been given that kind of a verdict that she was looking for. It will be difficult at this stage for Sanjay Dutt to work towards a situation where he can continue being out of prison for another 6 months as he's claiming.
And Sanjay would want everybody to understand this, that he's actually not seeking a pardon.
Yes, I think that's the critical difference which has to be made here. That it's not as if that Sanjay Dutt is saying that he should be given a complete pardon. What he is effectively saying is that he should be allowed to remain out of jail for another 6 months, which means that the remainder of his sentence, which he was supposed to serve, then starts being applicable from the time period of the end of the 6-month period, which starts from now. And that's where the tricky situation comes, because as such, there is no legal precedent according to most legal observers whom we've been speaking to. And they suggest that once a decision has been given, there are 2 straightforward scenarios. Either that decision gets overturned, meaning that Sanjay Dutt gets a pardon, or Sanjay Dutt then has to go to jail. Because in this interim period, A lot of statements have been made from the likes of a Justice Karju. Politicians have jumped in. Therefore, this entire case has got so confused.
Ashok Bagria reporting from the Supreme Court. Give us more details about what has emerged from the Supreme Court. Has there been a reasoning, a detailed reasoning as to why this plea will now be heard tomorrow and not being heard today?
Well, Parul, this matter was today listed before a bench headed by Justice Satasivam, who was sitting in combination with Justice Iqbal. Actually, the original verdict in the Bombay blast case was delivered by a bench of Justice Satasivam and Justice Chauhan. And once the bench reconvened after lunch at 2 o'clock, Justice Satasivam was of the opinion that a bench which had the combination of Justice Chauhan with him would be the correct bench to hear this matter. So he's listed this matter for tomorrow. Tomorrow 10:30 a.m. this will be taken up as the first item in the Supreme Court. That's when Justice Satasivam, sitting in combination with Justice B.S. Chauhan, will be hearing Sanjay Dutt's application. This is actually the only ground on which this matter has been adjourned till tomorrow morning.
And Ashok, we were wondering whether the prosecuting agency, the CBI, would take a view on Sanjay Dutt's plea. Has that happened at all?
Well, actually, the occasion didn't arise where the CBI lawyers could have argued this matter, but what was interesting to see was that the CBI lawyers were present in the courtroom, so it seems that there will be some kind of opposition from the CBI side to granting of any concession to Sanjay Dutt, and especially the kind which he is asking for.
And this is the same agency that did not in fact press for Tada against Sanjay.
Yes, in fact, CBI is the same agency. Initially in 2006, when the Tada court had delivered its verdict, Sanjay Dutt was absolved of Tada charges and was in fact convicted only under the Arms Act. When the appeal was filed by the CBI in the Supreme Court, the CBI did not challenge dropping of Tada charges against Sanjay Dutt, and in fact it contested, it wanted an enhancement of punishment for Sanjay Dutt under the Arms Act. But the Supreme Court, taking a view which was entirely different, Supreme Court upholding Sanjay Dutt's 5-year conviction given to him by the Tada court in 2006. And in fact, this judgment was delivered by the Supreme Court on 21st March 2013. And as a part of that judgment, all convicts who were on bail were asked to surrender within a time period of 4 weeks. And this 4 weeks time expires on 18th of April. So this is coming at the fag end of this term which was fixed by the Supreme Court. Tomorrow is 17th. Tomorrow, the Supreme Court will have to decide this matter either way, because otherwise, if it's not decided, then it will spill over on the 18th. And the 18th is actually the date when Sanjay Dutt has to surrender, and it will be a very sticky situation for the actor.
Right.